And we're live on Game Changers with Vicki Abelson. And my guest today is Carmine Rojas. And I am so excited that you're here, Carmine.
New York in the house.
New York in the house. We got to talk about all right.
Bronx.
All right, Carmine, talk for a second and then the sound will double. You talk for a bit and I can turn my sound off. Okay, keep talking.
We got a girl from Brooklyn. We got a guy from, girl from the Bronx. Girl from Brooklyn. Testing 1, 2. There you go. There you go. How's your headphones now? 1, 2.
Okay, now I'm back. So now the sound didn't double. Isn't that nice? I like it. Now I have
to this side.
Okay, so tell me everything. So you grew up in Brooklyn Heights?
I grew up exactly in Brooklyn Heights, correctly. And our block was the last Puerto Rican block. Because Brooklyn Heights is a beautiful area.
Yes.
We were the last 2 blocks, Willow Place and Columbia Place.
Right.
We were cut off with the highway, cut us off with the rest of the neighborhood.
So you were on the wrong side of the highway. Is that what you're telling me?
Exactly. It was the best side to be on because it was a lot more international. I mean, you had Irish, you had Puerto Ricans, you had all kinds of people.
Wow.
And schooling was better. And we were near a PAL, a police, what do you call it, those clubs back in the day where we used to go run in and learn and study and whatever. We had a place to go to hide.
So a club to go, like a community center or something?
Yeah, exactly. With the 62 Club, which we used to call it on Joralemon.
Wow.
Joralemon,
oh, Joralemon, yes,
Joralemon,
of course.
Yeah. So I lived on Joralemon at that time.
Wow. Oh my God.
I love Brooklyn Heights. I miss it.
It's a gorgeous neighborhood. My daughter just lived there. I was telling you, like 3 years ago when she was going to school, she lived right there off State Street, and it's still beautiful. And
yeah,
really,
I love walking through it. I mean, like I said, our blocks were, just still, we were the last for them to clean up, but it was a great cleanup.
Oh my God! All right, so how did the music get in you? When did the music get in you?
Oh, it had to be very young, extremely young. Listening to when I was growing up, we had doo-wop. Motown, Stax,
right?
We had the English Invasion. We had, we just had just a mask full of different kinds of music, and AM radio was playing everything. You could hear, Black Sabbath and Frank Sinatra. So it was a great radio. You could hear the combination because it was all about music.
Right.
And growing up with Latin roots and R&B roots, mixed with the English stuff, mixed with the American blues later on. But yeah, it was just
when did you pick up a bass? What was that the first thing you picked up? What was the first thing you picked up?
First thing I picked up was drums, but my younger brother played it better at the time. So I picked up a bass, a precision bass to be exact. These guys had a basement with instruments, and I went down there just kind of messing around, hanging out with friends, and they just said, "You got to play bass because we have this kind of block party in Brooklyn Heights we used to have."
What, right?
And it was great because it was, Henry Chapman. What's his name? His last name was Chapman. I just can't think of the name right now. Harry Chapman, yes. And his brother. They lived in the Heights.
No, I'm getting the wrong. I'm thinking of Harry Chapin. That's
Chapin,
wrong.
Thank you. That's it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, they lived in the Heights too. They used
Did
to do festivals together. Yeah. So this is before I knew they were famous. So we had a couple of famous people there. But yeah, it's just something I just kind of gravitated to.
So how old were you when you started like fooling around?
About 12, 13. Kind of gave it up 3 times because I couldn't get it until I stopped trying. And then I got it.
I love that. Are you self-taught or did you study?
Self-taught, yeah.
Do you read?
I read, I used to read better in the middle. I started off not reading, but as the sessions started coming in and all these people were calling for, I started figuring out, how do I read this? How to read that? And I didn't read the bass charts. I used to read guitar charts because I used to have the full chord of the guitar chord. So I knew D-6. I could do a D-6 bass line because I started figuring out those things, patterns or whatever. So the bass lines I would never, because it was always pretty simple in the sessions. It was like 1 dot, 2 dots going, I want to do more, So I gravitated. I saw the guitar chart going, what is that chord? I love that chord, which made me
you play the bass like a guitarist. I mean, you do.
Well, it's a combination of like a Paul McCartney, where they play bass and you play guitar bass, and then only a few people. Well, there's a lot of guitar players who end up playing bass, but they're not really playing bass. So right. I come from a whole soul of my body, shakes when I play the bass all the time. But the combination like Paul McCartney and Chris Squire, there are a few people who can really play bass and guitar like that and make it musical to me. It's only a few people I love.
While we're here and talking about Paul McCartney, it made me think of Charlie Watts, the Stones. And so did you ever get to play with Charlie?
No, but I got to meet him a bunch with Bernard and hanging out.
Yeah,
and Willie and I were friends from the Rod Stewart days and all that crap. But yeah, he's an absolute gent. He really was that guy that, you know, the well-dressed and walked in real quiet, and you just looked at him going, I don't know if I can have a conversation with him or whatever, you know, or you don't know whether to bow to him or whatever, curtsy to him.
I heard he was really a lovely person though, and not full of himself, right?
Very soft-spoken, very attentive, you know, like looking in your eyes and drinking his coffee or his tea or whatever. I think it was tea at the time. And it was just you look at him going, wow, what a cool guy.
Wow.
You know, from, you know, it's just the history of it, growing up and watching him on that television show and, you know, watching from 63 on into now. I mean, the real true rock and rollers. I mean, for sure, those guys were, including Bill Wyman too. I have to give Bill Wyman the credit of the original Stones.
Right.
He's a great player too.
Fantastic.
And they did what they did with what they had, with their education, and they made something out of it.
So when you're a kid and you're Chris Squire is Paul McCartney. What drummer, like, did you have any idol drummers that you were like, okay, I want to play with that guy?
When I was a kid?
Yeah.
It would have been early on would have been the Latin bands like Tito Puente or which I started out playing R&B or doing the Motown stuff or Stax. Like, wow. You know, those guys are just rhythm machines. And it was important to understand bass and drums are the foundation of the building. Without that, the building collapses. So that was very important. That was put into my head quite young, that has to be solid always between the bass and drums. And it was that education pushed me on to play always with a great drummer. Even if I didn't have the ability, just play with a great drummer, somebody great in front of you. So you just kind of hold on to their, you know, to their education and learn and pick up the different pieces.
Did you learn from drummers as a bassist?
Yeah, because it's about rhythms. Yeah. If you mute an instrument like a piano or a guitar or whatever, it's rhythms. You can hear rhythmic stuff. So if you mute everything, every instrument, it's going to be boop, 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 boop. You know, you can mute it all. It's all about rhythms. So it helped learning Latin, learning R&B, learning all the English stuff, because they had a different interpretation of what they were listening to. Like the Jeff Beck, like when I went to see the Jeff Beck group with Rod and Woody and those guys, I just looked at it thinking, wow, they look like peacocks because they were dressed up fresh velvet pants, you know, looking amazing, but sound like an R&B band.
You were looking amazing, and you always looked amazing too. But anyway,
try to style somehow. But the ability of what they were trying to do, they wanted to be Temptations. I'm thinking it's never going to happen, but their interpretation was so cool back then. You know, and I've seen them 3 or 4 times back in the day, and I just thought the English bands had this other thing. So I mixed that with my R&B and Latin roots and just try to weasel my way around different things, playing different clubs like Cafe Wah back in the day. Yeah. You know, early days playing around with different bands, always reaching. I was very terrible playing the cover bands, because in the cover bands you had to play the song exactly the same. Right. I just had a bad habit of going left a little bit and adding more to the song, whatever. And if someone else was in the band, we will run together. But it was great if I had a drummer that would run with me. It was fantastic.
Oh, so God! So
kind of outlaw.
So okay. So you're playing in little bit. You're 13. You start playing some bass. When do you start playing in bands and like playing?
19, and it would have been professionally would have been LaBelle.
And how did you come out of nowhere and get that gig?
It was we auditioned for it because they were looking for a band, and it was great because the advertisement was looking for a band that can do British rock, you know, rock, and it said Jeff Beck, Free, and it's Latin and Santana and War. Wow! And we were that kind of band called Buff, B-U-F-F. So we're that kind of band. We're like a Jeff Beck group, War and Santana, because we're a combination. So we went to audition.
So the whole band. They wanted the whole band.
Yeah, the whole band. So five of us went, percussion, bass, drums, keyboards, guitar, and auditioned, and there were 50 bands already have gone, so they were pretty worn out. And it was us and a New York band called Haystack Balboa.
Huh.
I don't know if you remember them. Back in the day, they were used to play around Long Island or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And we end up outbeating them because we came in all flashy, looking like the Rod Stewart band, like the Jeff Beck band or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we were the combination of all those kind of bands. We were just
Right.
a melting pot of it because we loved this, we loved that. And we used to go hang out at the Fillmore. We used to go to Electric Circus back in the day.
Oh, come on. All right. So, all right. I saw Jethro Tull, Humble
Yeah.
Pie, Johnny at the Fillmore East. Did you go to the Fillmore East back in the day?
Plenty.
Oh,
Bloodwind
God.
Pig.
Oh, Bloodwind Pig.
Yeah, I saw the show with Spooky too. I saw the show with the big band with Led Zeppelin. It was, I don't know, the Glenn Middle band. No, it was Woody Herman band.
Oh
Woody
my
Herman,
God.
Led Zeppelin, and who was headlining? I'm Butterfly or something. Something was very strange bill. And I used to go there. I used to go see Youngbloods, and because I was always into different kinds of bands. And to add to the story, in the Fillmore East, there were a few Black Puerto Ricans there, and the few that were there later in years, and was Eddie Martinez, Nile Rodgers, Omar Hakim. Those kids, we end up being friends and end up being, borrowed.
Working.
Yeah, working later on years later. Vernon Reed, because we were all kids going to the same kind of shows. Central Park used to have a bunch of shows.
Oh God, yeah, the Schaefer Festival. Oh my God.
Festivals, which I got to play with LaBelle in 1975. But
okay, so you guys got the gig, and so
we went on tour, opening up for the Who.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, we did Gator Bowl Stadium because Pete Townsend was a big LaBelle fan. So was Mick Jagger and them. The English bands were big fans of LaBelle because they loved all the R&B stuff.
Wow.
And our manager at the time, Vicki Wickham, used to work for Ready Steady Go in England.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
She knew all the people. She knew all the names. And they were big fans of LaBelle. So they would have us open up and stuff like that.
So okay, so what's it like? You're a kid. What's the first? Can you think of like what your first like big gig, like walking out on that first like big step? Like, tell me, what was that like?
The first huge concert would have been Pontiac Stadium, and on the bill was Tower Power, War, Chaka Khan, Rufus,
Jesus,
Average White Band, and somebody else. That was the first big stadium gig after the one with the Who at Gator Bowl Stadium. So the Gator Bowl Stadium with the Who, the original with Keith Moon, was you couldn't comprehend visually unless you were a pigeon. You look around, it was just so massive.
Oh my God.
It was just completely beyond.
What year was that, Carmine?
Oh, 76. That would have been 76.
Jeez.
Would have been 75, 76.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So are you like pinching yourself? Like, are you out there looking at this? Like, is this really me?
You're hitting on different things. You're triggering different things. So it blows up my brain and, just kind of chemistry. Because a lot of the stuff I've either forgotten or it's just put to the side until somebody triggers it.
Right.
But LaBelle was the first professional band I was involved in, which I joined in 72, 73. And with them, we toured with Earth, Wind & Fire, Curtis Mayfield, Danny Hathaway, with the Who.
Jesus.
We did Carnegie Hall. We did a lot of those great Cafe Wa. Cafe A Go-Go, I think it was.
Sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah. We did a lot of those kind of days. We were touring around the country, and it was our first time ever touring, coming home with no money, but the experience with LaBelle, and God bless them because they really loved us and they really took care of us. And it was so nurturing to us.
Oh.
And they showed us there was a whole other side of the world, because a lot of the gigs, there were a lot of gays and drag queens and whatever going.
Uh-huh.
We were always at the gig, but that was their crowd. And that opened up another avenue of different people and different clubs and different venues. And it was like a really eye-opener and a great education to this day. I still love them, and Nona, I'm always in touch. And whenever she calls, I would do whatever at any time. Because for them, they took us on as kids and believed in us. And they really dragged us around to a lot of stuff. I mean, they were like saying, "You can do this." And we're going, "No, we can't." And she said, "No, you can do this." And she pulled a good one on me because my first real session in 72, 73, I think, was for
an
an
God, you were a baby.
Yeah, I was 19, going on 20. And it was for an album called Pressure Cooker. And in the session was another full band called Maxan, which were beautiful, great guys. Andre Lewis, keyboard player from Frank Zappa's band.
Oh, wow.
Originally, great musicians. And Stevie Wonder came in and co-wrote one of the songs. Now, I didn't know he was going to be there. So
Jesus.
we had to play with him, and I had to sit up next to him. True story.
Jesus.
Shitting and shitting. I was hoping he would, I figured he'd be smelling it. And, you know,
my
we did
God.
the song, Open Up Your Heart. And I just can't remember the other title of the second song. It's on Pressure Cooker album, RCA album, LaBelle. And that was my first professional recording was with him. And he
Oh
wanted to do
my,
like
what a place to start.
and it's what you call getting thrown in the deep end. And I had to really physically be in my mind like a New Yorker and go, I'm going in. You know, either I learn something from it, I'll fail from it, and I can learn from the failure, which is always important. The mistakes are always important to take with in life. And Stevie would go, well, can you link these chord changes? I'm thinking, I don't know what he's talking about. But I know it's a C and a B flat or something, whatever. I'll fuck around a little bit.
Okay, so that's my question. Do you fake it or do you ask?
I had to fake it.
There you go.
I faked it. So me going for it. And at the time, at that point in time, I was a big Chuck Rainey and James Jamerson fan. So I was very much a very top end bass player.
Right.
A lot of lines. And the song came out amazing. And I could never repeat what I just, and every time a chorus would come around, I couldn't remember what I did before. So I made up something else. And I went like, I know they're not going to use it. And Stevie Wonder goes, you know, like thumbs up. I'm right here. And the thumb goes, I'm going, okay, was that good or bad, you know? But it was my first real, true experience in the studio, which made me wonder going, okay, this is a different animal than playing live. This is a whole nother. So I have to be really serious on this part of it. I can goof around with the other stuff playing live, but studio is another different animal.
And really Stevie had already broken huge because I saw Stevie as little Stevie Wonder open for the Stones in like 71.
Exactly. I saw that tour with Tina Turner. Stevie Wonder, yeah.
Wow. I'm sure, I bet we were at a lot of the same shows. I'm guessing that.
Oh, for sure. If it's in New York, especially at the Garden. It was a great show at the Garden.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, that was my first real experience in the studio. And that just that opened up another door in my head thinking, if I'm going to be serious about this, I gotta hang with people who are going in the same direction.
So what was your discipline like, Carmine?
That's a tough call. Yeah, my discipline at the point in time, because I wasn't really working, making any money, but it was to follow people who are going the same route I want them to see. I see bands on stage like the Jeff Beck Group or whatever, or the Who or something, or Ray Barretto or something. Go, I want to do that. I want to be able to possibly do that to the best of my ability.
And so how would you go about that when you were alone in your house? How did you go about? Because we didn't have YouTube then, we didn't have all this stuff.
You play the albums, and you keep going back to the spot with the needle and ruining and scratching it. It took forever, but the more you do it, it means you're putting more work into it. And so I wanted to be part of a band, which I ended up joining Buff, those guys.
Right.
And those guys were going someplace, and they were in the same hit fame because we were into Traffic, Free,
God.
Little Feat. We were into the same kind of bands early on in the 70s. So we were doing all this kind of music, and Stevie Wonder and Danny Hathaway, Stones, Spooky Tooth, which was a favorite of mine back in the day.
Oh my God, Spooky Tooth.
I love Spooky Tooth. There was just, again, the English were coming over doing this R&B stuff, and going, wow, that's just cool. But you couldn't get a white band to do the same kind of thing. There were a couple of rare bands, like Rare Earth was one of those rare bands that could do it. Right. Detroit. Anybody from Detroit, white or black, were just, they were all happening.
Did you know Allie Willis? I'm thinking you must have.
Allie Willis? How do I know that name?
Allie wrote September she wrote a bunch of the Earth, Wind and Fire songs with them. And Allie is a monster from Detroit, and a Jewish girl from Detroit who wrote black music. But what do I know?
I would know her because
I'm sure you knew her.
Because Charles Stephanie from Chicago worked a lot with the Detroit and Chicago had these great bands, and really particular classy great bands. Rodeo Connection. There were a lot of great bands back in those days. There were a lot of bands, and there was all kinds of music. So I just left my ears open. I didn't stay one genre. I didn't stay doing just R&B or disco or blues or whatever. I wanted to do all of it. I want to be a part of all of it and be more international.
And you've played all, and I'm looking at all the gold and platinum records behind you,
Oh.
and they represent all kinds of genres. You're not, you didn't get stuck in a genre at all.
No, it was, to me, it was more important to be not big famous locally, big and famous internationally. Because for some reason, once I got to Europe, that opened up another door. The more I traveled different kinds of people, it just, it kind of almost brought me back to my past, my original soul past, with me, my original Spanish past. So in Europe, things was a lot more open. Amsterdam was a lot more open. Germany, France, Spain. It just opened up. The people there were a lot friendlier. They were really heavy into music. I got turned on to a bunch of stuff that eventually, years later, I ended up moving with a German-British band called Nektar to Germany. I ended up living with them in 1980 for 2 years and stayed in Europe, and then picked up habits. And that's where I met Winwood. I met a bunch of people, a bunch of different bands. And then when I came back to America in 82, I left in 80, came back in 82, late 82, joined Nona Hendrix, a new project. And she was opening for Talking Heads and those different people. And New York changed at that point. So I'm going, wow, this is a whole other thing going on here.
Now, did you ever really play the clubs though? Because it sounds like you were always doing things that were putting you in big venues.
I did play the club. I did play tracks a lot.
Yeah.
I did play tracks. And I did play early on the Latin clubs, not much, because there was too many guys on stage for one thing, and it was like a noise. It was like 20 guys playing one groove, and I wanted to go outside a little bit. So I was looking for people that would go outside, and that's where I found guys who like King Crimson, the prog bands, the Nice back then.
Oh my God.
Yeah, all those English bands that we love at the Fillmore's. That whole thing took my head into a different place. And I ended up playing with a pick, learning how to play with a pick when I lived in Germany. And I developed another style, another characteristic of my playing for different things. And I use all of it, whatever I have, I use all of it in everything.
You do. What we're going to go back to your lineage, but
you have to pick it.
But I'm going to go through them. But how about who are some of your favorite drummers that you've played with through the years that just you're home when you play with them, you're just home?
Yeah, it's Tony Thompson, Jason Bonham, Steve Ferroni.
Oh, what a monster!
He's one of those where you have your headphones on and you hit the click track and the click track disappears, but he's so clocked in, going, well, maybe I need more click track with it, but it's actually, he's so locked in. His timing is amazing. Omar Hakim, who I grew up with, we played together with LaBelle together, and different projects down the Bowie stuff. I've actually worked and played with a lot of Tal Bergman, who's a knucklehead.
I love Tal.
Oh,
who's a knucklehead.
He's my Hebrew national, I love him. To this day,
I can hear you.
I see him, I have to start laughing. I see him and I start cracking up, and he starts laughing, and we have no idea what we're laughing at because we're just silly knuckleheads. But
he looks exactly the same now as he did in 1986.
Yes.
His hair is still exactly the same. I mean, it's like exactly the same.
That's when I met him back in the New York days. He was a little thinner, him and his brother. Tal is another one of those, him and Omar Hakim. They're just so blessed for what they do, and it just enhanced. It's just, you have to play better when you play those kind of drummers.
I love it.
There's a lot of guys. I'm not thinking in my head, but there's a lot of sessions. A lot of surprise.
Well, you know what? Well, as we go through your chronology,
you pick a name.
You'll tell me. All right. So, how did you get Sam Moore, and what was that like? That's like a whole different trip right there.
Well, the story with that was they were planning to go to Japan. They had a band already. Going to Japan, and a bass player and everything. They were going to Japan, and their keyboard player opted out. And in the band was Dave Prater. I don't know if you know Dave Prater from back in the day, in New York days.
I don't think so.
Extraordinaire. Used to work for CBS. Staff writer and producer. Great guy. And him and I grew up in the ranks too. Used to play with Santana. And he called up and said, "Hey, we're going to Japan and there's no keyboard player. I know you can do Isaac Hayes parts." I said, "Yeah, it's kind of easy."
Wait a minute. You played keys with Sam Moore?
I played keys. Yeah. I didn't play bass.
When did you start doing that? When did you start playing keys?
That started like in the early 70s, messing around, because I used to love chords. And I used to try to figure out what's the name of that chord. So jazz guys would show me these chords going, oh, if I do this kind of bass line towards that chord, which opened my head up again, because learning the chords on keyboards, I mean, your right and your left hand has all of it, all the magic. So as a bass player,
Wow.
if I watch what my right hand's doing and follow the chords, I can be much more melodic and much more musical with it. And that's why that always helped me out along, for playing gospel and different things. But I got hired to play keyboards.
Wow.
And I went to Japan, and there's a live footage, there's a live film for it too. And I've been friends with them ever since.
Is it on YouTube? Can I find it?
Could be. It's us live, 1982 at a Yokohama Stadium.
Wow.
Yokohama
Well, I'm
Stadium.
going to look for it today.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
But there's a copy floating around. So I'm
Wow.
doing all the odds and ends parts, And the bass player in the band is my tech from LaBelle. So
That's crazy.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Do you find, Carmine, is that how most gigs happen? Is that a friend brings in his friend, to you bring in a friend? I mean, is that how it happens?
That's how it happens, but you have to have the talent to back it.
Absolutely.
So instead of somebody blaring like, oh, I know a good friend of mine, who's my roommate, who can do that gig, you could really fuck yourself up. Sorry.
But you're not going to recommend somebody unless you can curse on here. I have a
Unless
foul fucking mouth.
They're perfect for the job, because even if I get someone brilliant to put in the job, you might not use his full potential. There's always those possibilities too, where
Right.
I'll get a friend to come in. I know he can do the gig, but then we're in the gig, and the leader or the musical director is not really using his full potential, which is sad to me, because then and you feel like, I got the money in my pocket, but it's more than that.
Right.
At the end of the day, yeah, you might have the money in your pocket, you might go buy sweet things or whatever, but your soul and your mind will never be the same.
Did you ever turn anything down because your soul and your mind said, no, I can't do this?
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Actually, a lot of stuff that was worth a lot of money, which I won't mention any names.
Okay.
But I just know that after a month on that tour, I would be depressed, because it wouldn't have the same spirit. Because I always want to feel like I'm 16. I don't want to change from that. I want to feel like I'm watching those bands up on stage. Even me being up there, looking down, I'm that kid. And that's so important to still register and connect to me.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of guys who kind of get over it. I'm not over it. I'm still, we've been locked down for 2 fucking years. Sorry, 2 years.
You never have to say you're sorry about saying fuck on my show, because
the lockdown has been really a head fuck.
Oh God.
And the positive thing about it, COVID and everything else, is that you spend time at home with your family, and you might even go back to listen to stuff that you haven't listened to in years, and you got the time to regroup musically in your head, which is that's all I've been trying to do.
Let's talk about that, Carmine, because I was doing live shows 7 days a week when we went into lockdown, just because I was being of service, and it was of service to me. But I had to give up. I had a live show booked the next week, all this kind of. So what were you in the middle of? What was life like? Did a lot of stuff get canceled on you? What happened?
We were just coming back from the Bowie alumni tour, coming back from Europe, and the dates before coming back in was from Israel. So we were coming back in. We started the American tour. This is February.
I saw you guys. I saw you before the lockdown.
Yeah. So we just come back in the States. Rehearsals, get ready for March dates, and we got as far as March 12th, which was in Portland.
Right.
So it was a whole tour, a whole US tour. And it was sad, because it was just getting the feel right with Charlie Sexton. I mean, it was just a gang back together again, laughing and giggling and being up to no good, in a good way.
Yeah.
Not like the old ways, the old days, in a good way.
We're going to talk about that too, because you never had that problem, but we'll talk.
No. I don't have an addictive personality. So there's a big difference. I can go in deep. Back in the day, I used to be able to go in deep and realize I want to get to my house before the sun comes up. I never like sunlight in the morning. Mm-hmm. And, a couple of times I ran too late, but it's an uncomfortable feeling. And it would hinder, after a couple of days, you start feeling guilty, thinking, I could have spent that much time doing something else. So I always kept pushing to make sure nothing stops my projection to keep moving forward, whatever band it is, whatever situation it is. I need to be good at what I do, so people can call, people can request, say, hey, you should try this guy out, or as a musical director or whatever. you know, especially the 80s and 90s. I was developing into so many different things. And
Right.
I took a crew with me. I had my own crew and band guys that
Wow.
were, you know, we jumped from Bowie to John Waite to Julian Lennon, you know, back to Bowie or into some other stuff with Alan Childs on drums and Chuck Kentis on keyboards, Doug Worthington on guitar. I had a great band and a great crew.
And so I'm assuming that nobody in your crew had addiction issues. In your immediate, did you have that? Did you have to deal with that?
Yes, but in a very, very protective and loving way, because we've taken some people in, and others we just kept an eye on and say, hey, you know, grab a stash and put it in the fridge or whatever. I was very good with that. Back in the day, I was very good with, if you had your stash, I'd take it from you and put it someplace and it wouldn't be touched. So you couldn't come at me. And if you did, you're being disrespectful, you know? And then at that point, I just flush it.
Did any gig go south because somebody was too wasted to do what they needed to do?
Yeah, not for myself, but yeah, it just, they weren't there at full potential with, you know, especially if you're working for someone and they're paying you to be there 100%. So I'm loyal as a soldier that way. I've always have been, and that'll never change. You know, I'm right there as a soldier and make sure we leave no man behind or woman, you know. And so it was very important for me when I started learning how to be a musical director from Carlos Alomar, which was my future older brother. He had faith in me that I could do that. And so I moved from after the Bowie thing in '83 and went to being a musical director for different projects and different things. And it was a great learning experience.
Okay, okay, so since we got to Bowie, we have to stop. We have to stop. We have to talk. Okay, so I saw Serious Moonlight. I saw
83.
Yeah, I saw 83. I saw 86. I Glass Spider. You unbelievable with the outfits and the moves and the groove and the thing. Both of those shows were ridiculous.
And we were playing like we were 16-year-old. You know, again, it was power and the force of it. And Carlos, who's an amazing musical director, and David, who just, nothing bothered him, you know, just as long as we were in tune, we pushed him to be a better performer too, and a singer, because he was a new character at that point in time. He was a brand new character, more like a rock and roll character, you know, like an Elvis kind of a thing. But so we plowed through it, you know. And '87 was where Peter Frampton came in. Yes, and we got to help put him back on the map, you know, as a rock guitar player. But with David, it was the easiest person to work for.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So how did that? I mean, that had to blow your mind out of your head when you got that gig. How did that happen?
It happened very strangely because December '82, I was back in the States working with Nona. And now Rogers, who I've known, Bernard, I knew the Sheet Guy because of Tony Thompson from Sheet Guys. He called up and said, hey, so it was a Friday. He said, I need you to come down Monday to Power Station and help me do some demos with this artist. I said, shit, that'd be great. I'd love to go down there. You know, I've only been there twice. This will be a third time at the Power Station. And I love that room. He said, yeah, come down. So Monday shows up. Monday comes around. I show up. And I'm walking to the Power Station thinking, oh, I wonder what room Niall is in. So I said, let me walk in here because I love that room. I walk in there and to my left, it's glass. So I look in and I don't see anybody. And I see a guy with a cap on talking, I guess to the engineer. And I went, oh, I don't know who that big old Bowie. These are the exact words. I wonder who that big old, it's such a New York slang. Big old Bowie looking motherfucker look like. I wonder who that is, you know? So then I walk out and behind me I hear footsteps and it's the engineer, this assistant engineer saying, hey, Carmine, you're in this room. I said, oh, okay, cool. I said, who's that Bowie looking guy? He goes, that's David Bowie. I said, what? I said, nah, you fucking with me. Yeah, this is a true story. So I walk in and I looked at my left. I see him again going, it does look like a maybe he's messing with me. So as I get forward in the room, I see David turns around and he's coming to greet me. I freeze because I'm blown away because I'm such a big fan. This is '83. This is early January '83 now. I'm going, and I don't know whether to bow or curtsy or pull my pants down. I'm not sure what to do. I really don't. I'm not sure how to approach him because he's bigger than life to me. Because I've seen him.
Had you ever seen him perform?
Yeah, I saw the Station tour and the White Light tour.
I saw the 73. I can't even. Anyway, yeah.
You gotta have a conversation with Mike. Mike can give you some stories.
I saw him, yes,
Yeah.
and even Carlos was with him. They were all there with him. Yeah,
If they were there in 73.
yeah.
This was 76, 74, 70, the Diamond Dogs tour, the White Light tour, and Station. So I was already a fan because I just thought he was so different and I couldn't get what he was trying to do, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I was really going, I don't know what it is, but it's so fucking cool to listen to it.
And always so different. Everything he did was so different.
And then he pulls out the Young American album going, wow, where did you get all that from? It's like, whoa, what do you do? Drink R&B juice or something? Hanging out with the brothers on the corner? I have no idea where I got all this stuff. But being there, and so he approached me.
Yeah.
And I slowly put my hand, I shook my hand and said, welcome, thanks for being part of the project. And I'm thinking, it's kind of early to say that because I haven't even played yet. But he had already had a list in his head.
Who hired you?
Niall hired me. Niall.
Oh,
He knew me, but David had a list of names of urban players. So he wanted street player because he always had Black or Puerto Rican players combination in the rhythm section. Because he liked the rub against the other guys, against the rockers. And the rub was amazing. He knew how to deal with the rub and how to rearrange it and how to put it into a Bowie-ish kind of a thing. He was just a clever bastard. So I'm there thinking, okay, this is really surreal. I'm going in my head, are we doing a Station album? I have all those tunes going in my head.
Wow.
And I'm going, wow, this is, so I sit there and then Omar Akeem walks in. I'm going, I said, you got a phone call too? I said, yeah, Don's called me up. So Omar looks going, is that who I think it is? I said, yeah. I said, and Omar goes, what's he doing here? I said, we're actually playing for him. He goes, really? I said, okay. And we're kids, we're young kids. And we worked together with LaBelle with lots of different projects together.
Right.
And I'm going, okay, this is really strange. And then that Monday we proceeded to do I think the first day was Modern Love, Let's Dance, and another song.
Jesus.
So I was only calling to do the one day. I'm going, wow, hopefully they'll use some of that stuff. We'll get into the story how the song is developed, but I said maybe, hopefully they'll use that bass line. So as I was leaving, David says, can you come back tomorrow? And I look at Niles and I went, he said, yeah, come back tomorrow. I said, okay, because there was a list of guys that they wanted, players to be on there, but somehow I wasn't sure what was going on. So I came back the next day, Tuesday, same thing happened again. Wednesday, I came back again.
Wow.
Thursday, again, Wednesday, I'm going, okay, I'll come back. And Thursday after that session, he says, you're good. I won't need you, we're all good. And we got other people coming in going, great. And I'm thinking, hopefully, maybe one of those two songs will get on the album with me playing bass on it, because I know there's a lot of guys in town, a lot of great players, Neil Jason, there's a lot of guys, Will Lee, there's a lot of guys in town that are just, they're hot at that point in time too.
Right.
And they're just already moving up the ranks in front of me. They were already top guys already. And so I'm thinking, great, Thursday, 4 days of hanging out with them, talking with them a little bit about different tours and stuff. And I kind of got along with him a little bit, but I wasn't sure because you just never know, He's English, so you never know. We're foreigners, you just never know with those kind of guys. But I was a big fan of Bob Clanmountain, who was the engineer. But I was a big, Avalon Roxy Music fan, Brian Ferry, and he did such an amazing job on that album the year before. And working with him was stunning, Bob Clanmountain, who was an ex-bass player too. So I get a phone call on Friday to come back, going, oh shit, okay, another song. I guess we got an extra song or something. So I come back and there's a song that they've been working on for the day that hadn't worked out. I said, okay, don't play me the bass. I don't know who the bass guy is. Don't play me his line. I'll just come along. I said, who's playing drums? Tony Thompson. I know what Tony's heartbeat is. So we'll lock in real good, rock style. And Claremont came in and we listened to the song going, okay, I'm not sure what it is. It's a cover song of something, Criminal World. So I go, okay, so I'll put a bass line, but can you give me kind of like Paul McCartney, Kurt Squire, a trebly sound, and I'll play with a pick and come up with a part. And that's what I did. I came up with a part, and the part was on Criminal was so unique because it's not on the original. I forget the artist's name, British band, Duncan Sheik or something. But Niles comes in and says, "Now he said I got to change the guitar parts now." So everyone they altered their parts to match the bass with the drum.
Wow.
And the vocal.
Wow.
Let's say. So it was the bass and the drums and the vocals and keyboards, bass drum vocals took over the tune.
Wow.
So I did matching with Tony, and Criminal World came out great. It's one of those, and that was coming
So
out.
David sang it differently, but because of the way you were playing it?
He sang it the way he sang it. So I'm matching with him and with the drums. So I put a brand new bass line on it so that everybody else had to alter their parts, overdubs.
Wow.
So I just matched David and Tony Thompson's parts. And so it just kind of, and it worked. So when you listen to Criminal World, it was an idea in the studio to develop right there. Actually, the whole album was done with a pick. But yeah, it was just one of those, it was the last song on that Friday. And I still don't know what was going to make it on the album until a month later. I hear it in Texas. Whoops. Uh-oh.
That's you.
Shut that off. I apologize for that.
By the way, while we're stopped, Debbie Blount is going, blonde hair, pink hair. Debbie wants me to say hi to you. She says, Carmine knows me. You have to say hi for me.
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the big JL, Julian Lennon fan. Big hug to you too, darling.
There you go.
But yeah, so a month later, I get a phone call from Carlos and to audition for the Bowie thing because I did such a great job on the album. And I haven't heard the album yet. I just heard one song, Let's Dance, which I was surprised thinking, wow, it's a blues guitar player on there, Stevie Ray, that was a whole nother story too. But
I want to hear that story.
Yeah. I came to audition and with calls on the phone, he says, no, you don't have to audition, you got the gig. I said, you sure? And there's Carlos Allen on the phone, so I'm a little nervous because I'm a big fan of Carlos too.
All right.
One of those Puerto Ricans that disappeared living in Europe and all, working with a lot of different kinds of bands. And he has the history of
and with Bowie from the beginning.
Exactly. So it was like, wow, this is interesting to work with Carlos, who's another educator, which is perfect. It's what I needed. I needed someone that can educate and I can just learn more stuff from.
Wow.
Ended up being a beautiful, to this day, a beautiful man, and my older brother, I call him, and his wife, Robin Clark,
Carlos played a couple of my jams down at Spodiotti's and back in the day. He was lovely.
Happy spot. I remember quite a lot of being down there quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Mitch Weissman.
Yes, Mitch. Hi, Mitch. Yes.
Hi, Mitch.
The real fake Paul.
So yeah, so I got a phone call and I didn't have to audition, and I was really blown away. And I'm thinking, wow, this could be pretty major for me. Not realizing that the shit just fucking took off. And we were rehearsing for theaters, and it just took off into stadiums. We never got to the theaters.
No kidding.
It took off into arenas and stadiums. It was my first time spending 7 months in Europe or in America playing all stadiums.
So, okay, so what, I assume that your family is very proud of you, that watching this happen to you.
My mom and grandma, yeah. And they got to see a lot of the shows too, my mom and my grandmother. I was raised up on my grandmother. But yeah, the chest couldn't be big enough. Very just the proudness of them being secure that I would maybe do something with my life, and my brother at the time. Having that support with them and the love and lots of love from them. And it was funny. The same thing with LaBelle, because it was like being in a family too, which it still is. And every band I wanted to be involved in you had to have spirit inside of it. You had to be part of a tribe.
I love that.
And I always wanted to be part of a tribe because that's where we come from originally, as growing up as kids, whether you're Jewish, Puerto Rican, or Irish or whatever, you always go back to being part of a group of some things. Mm-hmm. And the tribe thing in a band situation was very unique because you're playing music with people you love, and you're experimenting and you're learning and you're gathering information, and every day is an event. You know, you wake up, I'm in Rotterdam, or I'm in Berlin, or I'm in Australia or something, and it's like a whole new adventure, especially those tours. To this day, I still feel the same way. Even though I've been through all around the planet quite a bit with different bands, I still look forward to just get up in the morning, have a coffee, and listen to the conversations with different languages and different foods. You know, I'm still very excited with that stuff. Still,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
So doing the stadium tour with Bowie. I mean, first of all, it's like he hits the stage and it's like God has entered the arena. I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like from your side of things.
Yeah, looking from behind him, standing behind him and watching the impact of this one guy walking slow and just squinting an eye or just slow movement or just doing something freaks the people out going, wow, what power. You know, it's an interesting power play. It's different from politicians, it's different from other things, but that sense of power, and you got to be an Elvis, you got to be a Bowie, you got to be a Jagger, you got to be those kind of guys who have that kind of magic.
Right.
And you don't have to do much on stage. It's just, you know, just a flint here and a flint there. But it's very rewarding, and I'm always grateful to have seen it and smell it and be there, and how it's like an army, the way everything is functioned, the way everything works, the buses and run to the cars and this and whatever, the organizations. I loved all that stuff, you know, and I miss all that kind of, you know, I miss all that stuff. The tour book, you know, it's like, wow, you know, I was very grateful every time I got a book. I was very grateful just to be there and to be a part of doing what I do, adding my little bit to this mess, you know, this beautiful mess that we love and call music. That's very spiritual, that comes from somewhere else. But
I assume that on stage it was as fun as it looked.
Yeah.
That spirit that you guys all
There
had
was
as you were performing.
there was never bullshit there. It was always the same, consistent every night, because we had a great leader in front and a great musical director. Was very positive. And he always said, you come up here with a smile. Don't come up here. Don't bring up your personal shit. You come up here like it's like a Quincy Jones thing about hanging your ego at the door. You know, Lionel Richie thing or whatever. That kind of stuff. Quincy Jones thing. And it was so true. You come up there and you're 16 years old and you're playing these amazing songs, these catalogs and every song is like, wow, it's like I'm playing prog, I'm playing classical, I'm playing folk, you know, I'm playing R&B, it's like a combination of so totally of my world, you know, doing the combination of different things, not just one thing. And David was never about one thing.
Right.
You know, Down the Vision album, you know, the Berlin album, it's like, wow, it's like, I want to do all of it. And that's always, to this day, I'm still the same way. It's just, you know, I want to be able to play and do and have fun with all of it and learn from it. And you have to, once you learn from it, you gather it, you pass it on.
That's
you
fabulous.
have to pass it on. You got to pay it forward. You have to pay it forward. You can't keep it with you.
How have you done that, Carmine? How have you mentored or led, or with who have you done that?
For one example, being Spanish, so South America, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Spain, there's kids there who want to do rock and roll or be, you know, wondering how I got there, whatever. I inspired them that it's possible. I speak Spanish too. So I'm Puerto Rican. We can do this. We can do this combination, but you have to really be dedicated to it. You have to set your roadway clear and hang with people who are going the same direction. You know, kids now, I mean, they have YouTube and everything else. I'm not sure what's happening with all that stuff, you know. Lately, someone asked me, how do you jam? And I thought nobody's ever asked me that question. How do you jam? So I didn't really I had answers, but never clarified answers. But I saw something, do I still have it? Ah, here it is. I should be back here. Hang on, give me a second. I'll be right there.
No problem. This
is it.
Commandments of Jam. Wow, Derek Truck's 10 Commandments of Jam. What are they?
It's amazing. It's 10 of them. The first one is just listen. It tells you what they have on the bottom of it. The second one is respect everyone else's musical space.
Nice.
The third is make sure you are telling a story, which is really important of your playing ability. Make sure you're telling a story. Try to play an emotion, like be really sensitive and play like you're playing for real, not because you're looking cute. Never use the bandstand to practice. I mean, it's great, these things he has. Treat the stage as your church. And he has stuff written on the bottom to answer the questions. Number 7 was make sure your intentions are right. Number 8, always make the band sound better, which is a really most important thing of whoever you're working for. Make him sound great, because he'll never get fired. Or be let go. You make that sucker sound great. He's paying for it. You earn it, and he earns it too. So I mean, it's a win-win situation.
Right.
And then educate with your music. The last one is make sure you mean what you're saying, what you're doing. So I mean, it's
That's
again.
great.
So anyone's out there looking, Derek Trucks, 10 Commandments of Jam.
Is that online? Do you think, can people find it, do you think?
I don't know, but it should be. I got it from somewhere.
Very
So
cool.
hopefully, yeah. But that's why I said read that, look at it, and then put yourself in those situations, because most kids they have no idea. They learn this stuff off of YouTube, which is amazing.
Right.
And they very quickly learn it, but they don't know where the source comes from. That's a problem. The education, you don't know where Paul McCartney got this certain bass line, or James Jameson got this feel from, or Larry Graham, or Chris Squire, what he was listening to at the time when he came up with that bass line. The source is very important, how to go back to stuff. You can't just play, you can't mimic somebody and go, look how great I am, and mimic all of it going, that's great, but where's your own shit? Where's your stuff in it? And that's really important, to find out how you can adapt and make it better. Or, some songs you just have to leave alone. There's some bass lines going, nah, don't make it better. It is what it is.
You can't change Tax Man. You can't change that.
No,
You cannot do it.
Some songs like, sacrilege, but if you can interpret and put it in a different place, if it's a fast song, make it slower, and still have the emotion in it, which is really important. So these kids, I mean, they ask a lot of questions, but they don't want to put the work in it. And they do, and they end up having a lot of these big hits, but they don't tour like we used to, and they don't really appreciate what's like really going up there, walking up those stairs, and get ready, when it's dark and the lights come on, and then you're blasting with your mates. That's the most powerful, beautiful feeling, blasting with your guys, and you're looking around, you're laughing, cracking up, because the shit sounds so good. And it's huge, especially when you play stadiums and arenas. It's so fucking
Jesus.
big. It's so powerful and big. It's like, yeah, all right, we're rocking it. And when you have guys like Bowie, or great lead men, like I've worked with Bowie and Rod Stewart, Joe Bonamassa, and those kind of guys, they command the front really, really well. Tina Turner was just
Oh my God. So tell me about playing with Tina. That's crazy.
We did I got hired to come in and do 4 songs on the Foreign Affair album, which has Simply the Best and Stevie Windows, Secret Agents of the Blues and stuff like that. And there's a writer, Joe, not Joe South, he's from down south. He plays a lot of swampy kind of things. Joe, I hate to not remember his name. Poke Annie Sally. It'll come to me. Joe something. But he came in and wrote these songs for Tina, swampy songs, swamp songs, which is how we came up with Stevie Windows and Secret Agent of the Blues. And it was he just passed away too, which I apologize for blanking his name, but and a great writer himself. Rainy Night in Georgia, he co-wrote Rainy Night in Georgia. Yeah, you can look it up there. Yeah,
I'm going to Google.
Yeah, he wrote Rainy Night in Georgia. He's wrote these great songs in the 70s and 80s, and he was a great swamp guitar player.
Oh, it's not giving me the
writer.
Tony Joe White.
Thank you, Tony Joe White. Absolutely an amazing writer, and stayed with his style stayed with him throughout his life. And he came in and co-wrote some songs with Tina. We were the rhythm section. Eddie Martinez, Jeff Bover, JT Lewis on drums. We were the rhythm section for that album, Foreign Affair album, for those singles.
Laura Thornton came up with Joe South. Yeah, people. And by the way, Les July says hello. Everybody's shooting them. Tell them hello. Tell them hello.
Kisses to all. Les, you dirty bastard.
God, known Les for 30 something years too.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He still looks the same. He still looks the same.
I don't think he didn't have dreadlocks back in the day. I don't think. I think he got
No,
them
if he
later.
did, they were pretty small, but he's still thin as a rail.
Yeah, he is.
And playing great bass.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We were at the Jam some months ago, and he played awesome.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like back in the 80s, I used to run all these jams. It's like the kids don't have that to do. There's not that same vibe. In New York back in the day, it was happening all over the place. You could go from one to the other to the other.
But there are places, but not many. Not many. And you got guys who they end up sitting in the corner by themselves playing some great shit, but not really playing together.
Right.
But back then we were happy to hang together. Even if you didn't know the person, you just knew it was going to be fun, Right. And that's how we did Spodiodia and China Club, whatever. It was just all a big hang.
Absolutely.
And you were happy to be there, And I do miss those times, and there were different times. The hang was a little rough, but God bless those old hangs. But it's just again, I don't ever want to change all that stuff. It's just again, when I'm playing with someone, I need to feel that spirit. I need to feel like all right, we're rocking it, and I have to have a great drummer. Whatever I do in life always has to be a great drummer. Because I just saw
a picture of you and Kenny Aronoff. Talk about a great drummer.
That's fun. Lots of sessions. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of this with what do you call it? What do they call that again? It's called I wrote it down too. America Salutes You. It's for veterans, and we've been doing this stuff and the co-host is Billy Gibbons.
Oh, so sweet.
He's playing with all these bands, and you can find America Salutes You on video stuff, Guitar Legends. And this we've done 4 shows in a row together, me and Kenny and I.
Oh,
and
nice.
Tal's done it too, as substitute for Kenny. And with lots of different artists. And really very cool, Billy Gibbons hosting. And even one night, Bonamassa did a night with us too. So it was actually fun to get back, play with him again. But Kenny
so you're doing these now in COVID time.
We do it every year. We do one every year. We just did the last one in 2020. So there's another one coming up, hopefully, in December for 21.
So how is it working now? We're going to go back to your lineage in a minute. How is it working now in this COVID pandemic world? Like, what kind of work are you doing? What do you feel safe doing?
Yeah, I feel safer at home, to be honest. I don't care what people think out there or their politics or whatever the situation. I got my shots. I can't wait for the booster. And that's just me. And I feel very protective. If I get sick, I won't be sick like those other guys, those other folks, who are close to dying. It's like, it's unnecessary. There's no reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
Science is a science.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get involved in that kind of stuff because I lost already a lot of friends, not in death, but a lot of friends on Facebook and everything else because they picked their sides.
Right.
And it's really sad that we're in that kind of situation. Besides COVID and everything else, your family and friends are not batting from the same team, and you're trying to be courteous and respectful enough for them, and we live in America, freedom of speech, which we all have evenly, and a lot of stuff has popped as Rita's, a lot of stuff has come up. Rita's ugly little head situation. I think it was the COVID thing is it's a plus and a minus, and you have to look at it. Positive and negative is the same way. A lot of things have come up racially and everything else. Stuff from the past has come up to be dealt with, and it should be dealt with.
Absolutely,
in the most honest way. If we're supposed to be created equal, we're supposed to be, like the Constitution says, we're all equal. Being equal as Americans, we're supposed to be very equal. Then let's be equal. It's never going to happen 100%, but let's be 90%, not 60%, not 40%. But yeah, I got my shots, and I actually like being home. And then when I go out, I do stuff on Zoom. But people send me projects, I'll put bass lines on it. I've been finishing a world project. I just did a stuff. What's the drummer from from Pearl Jam, the original drummer.
Don't do this to me.
Sorry.
15 seconds and all right, wait. Now I'm gonna have to look.
We just did a great project we did a Kinks song called Power Man with Bernard singing vocals on it.
Wow.
It's an absolutely brilliant song. We did a video for it. I didn't even know Kinks wrote that song, Power Man. David Aberson.
I just see it right now. Okay.
Yeah, he's a great drummer. And we're just getting involved now with Bernard to do we're trying to work out together to do a tribute to Charlie. So that came out great. So I've been doing those projects and finishing a world project and finishing a Lebanese artist, singer, female singer, world projects with that, different mixing flamenco, mixing world roots combination with that, which I love because it's very educational for me. I can put rock against that. So it's fun to mix the beats, turn the swing around a little bit, like Santana, But yeah, I've just been working from home. I've been to the studio maybe twice, bring my bass, bring my little my little preamp and, stay a distance and do the work. But I prefer doing the work at home. It's fun.
I'm totally with you. I'm COVID crazy. My life is home mostly.
Yeah.
So what I did start doing is going to outdoor restaurants. I've been eating outside.
You have?
Have you done that?
Not much. My girl and I, we haven't, we got a little puppy girl. So I've been being a new dad for that. So I'm a cat person. It's my first little puppy girl, and she's got me like this. She's got me good, man.
What kind of puppy you got?
Morky. It's a combination, but she's got me too good. I'm sucking in. Got my nose, big old hook in my nose.
Well, everybody, the people that watch this show, the regulars we're called the COVID crazies, and they're all right with you. We all have our vax. I just got my 3rd vaccination. Don't ask, but yeah, it blows my mind that they had that concert in New York a few days ago. Like, what are they out of their minds? I don't care if they're showing vaccination.
I don't care how many people get shots.
I don't either.
Wear a mask. I mean, it's still too close. It's still too close.
And nobody was wearing a mask. Nobody was wearing a mask. It was crazy.
But it was interesting where the Lollapalooza, there weren't many casualties from it.
That's good.
It wasn't like maybe 300 people, maybe 100 people was sick. And they had a 3-day festival. I mean, that's the news that we got out of there, but still, it's like, wow, that's still taking too many chances. We have word that next year we'll go back out with the Bowie thing, finish off the Diamond Dogs, Ziggy Stardust album. We were in the middle of combining the two together. So that starts next year, hopefully for us. And I really can't wait to get back on and talk to people, see people, eat strange food, different languages, talk to the crew and watch what they're doing. It's just, I'm 68. So I've been a part of this since 19. So, and it's in my blood very, very strongly.
Okay, so let's go back to some of those gigs. Like, so how did John Waite happen? My new friend, John Waite.
I have to thank Errol Slick for that because it was 83. We were just finishing the series One Light tour. He got a phone call to join the new No Breaks band with John Waite. He said, I got a band that's killing that, can I bring them along with me? So that's how Alan Chow's, Tommy Mandel. I love Tommy. Oh, Mandel.
A name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, Mandel was involved, myself and Slick. And so we were the No Breaks band. And we were out for that whole year promoting the Missing You album and working on a brand new one. And that was fun. That was, again, being a Free fan, Paul Rogers fan.
Right.
Here, someone who's like that to me, who has those kind of vocals, like a Rod Stewart and those gravity vocalists. I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun, and it was fun. It was crazy it was like some nights going, where's John? Is he around somewhere? I don't know. He'll tell you a story because there was
yeah.
I don't know. I'll stay away. We were filming Paper Dolls, the series, an episode. So they locked us up at the hotel at the Sunset Marquee. we had to put a guard on John's door.
Oh.
So he wouldn't get out.
Not so the girls wouldn't get in, but so that John couldn't get out.
Exactly. So we can make it in the morning for the shoot, We got that far, we got to film it, but John wanted to get out, and he's above me, so I can hear him walking around, just walking, smoking his cigarettes, like going, go to sleep. And then he was trying to come down at the marquee. You can actually come from different floors and crawl, climb down if you're good. If you have a strong upper part, which I have, he can't do that. He's a little skinny little English boy. And he was like crying, how do you do that? I said, no, I'm not going to show you, Go to sleep.
Hysterical.
It was a great tour. We had the missing, missing persons tour. We did a lot of headlining by ourselves. Scandal with Patty Smythe was a great tour, great tour. Love Patty.
Sweet. Okay, so then from John, then Rod Stewart. How the hell did that happen?
From John, it was 83 with Bowie.
Yeah.
John was 84, 85, 86 with Julian Lennon.
That's right. Okay, so did you meet Julian at the China Club? This is what I'm thinking in my head.
He didn't show up till later, but he was involved. Phil Ramone was the one who called me for the session to do the first album, the Velada album. And he saw that we were kind of communicating fun, just because I'm, big Beatle fan. Shit, Julian Lennon, can't go wrong with that shit, and he saw how we were kind of getting along a little bit. And Phil Ramone was his idea to, they wanted to take him on the road. And I think the label wanted him to play keyboards and be in front. And I just kind of thought, nah, I think he should be in front by like walking on like a Phil Collins kind of a thing.
Hell yeah.
Put the keyboards over there, let him learn how to work the stage because he's never done it before. So
how old was Julian back then?
Oh, I can't remember.
He was like a kid, right?
Yeah, he was still a kid.
Yeah.
First album. But Phil Ramone, it was his idea. So I put my team together with Alan Childs, Chuck Hentis, and half of Julian's band, the first album. And the rest was history. Just showed him how to we were working, I forget one of those rehearsal studios where it was full of mirrors, and told him to turn around, look at us. When he eventually felt comfortable to turn around and look at the audience, look at the room, and start singing because we're going to be there. So I had to do kind of psychological stuff with him.
Wow, that's interesting.
He was a full fucking natural. He just took over, going, wow. And so the first tour, I'll tell you a quick story, was we were in DC, Constitution Hall in DC, and the PA goes out, the wedges go out. So most singers, will panic. They can't hear the voice. They're saying, turn the fucking thing up, blah, blah, blah. And if they panic and run off, or they get really into themselves, Julian, what he does, he goes, well, I got no PA. He looks at me going, I said, keep singing. So he's singing, so he follows his voice. And the PA and house PA is still on. So he follows his voice and walks directly to the front of the stage and keeps singing. That's like, wow, no, that's like full natural ability. And he took common sense going, I'll just walk forward. I can hear my voice out in the house. And the more he did that, the girls freaked out because he was coming closer though. So he ended up playing that up a little bit, going, oh, okay, I'm getting it now, He was a complete natural, complete natural, his abilities. It was beautiful to watch someone do that, because in the old days, singers would just run off stage because they can't hear themselves, or the band's too loud, and there's always some sort of drama with the Queen somehow going on. Never drama with Julian. He just did his bit, and learned and studied and watched us, and he knew we were always there, confident. So that was 85, 86. And in between all that stuff, I was doing a bunch of sessions. Then 87 came the Glass Spider tour. So I had to go back and do that.
Which I saw, which was unbelievable.
Right. That was that was an onslaught, that one. There was a lot of stuff going on. And that was all through 87. And then 88, we took a good break with Bowie. And I got a call to put together, not me, but Tony Thompson and Eddie Martinez, Chuck Hentis, but half of my guys were called to do Rod Stewart. So they were auditioning. They wanted an American band because they knew American bands, we could do the R&B and the English stuff really well, and the folk stuff really well.
Right.
The English guys that they had were very good, but they were not really good R&B players.
Hmm.
So we were a great combination of all that with Jeff Golub. The
I
band.
love Jeff.
Oh, we love him. We miss him dearly.
Mhm.
And the band was, Jeff Golub, myself, Tony Thompson, and then later on Tony Brock came and played from the Babies. We were a big Babies fan from John Waite.
Yes.
So that connection, that's another connection with John Waite. I was a big Babies fan. But that band was great. And then it ended up being Jeff Golub, Eddie Martinez, and Eddie Martinez left to do Robert Palmer, and Todd Sharp came in.
Mhm.
And Stevie Salas came in. There was different guitar players, but Golub was the main, prime guitar player.
And so what was it like? How was Rod? How was that experience?
It was very different because in my head, I want to do, I always force them to do Every Picture Tells a Story. Oh, I always go back to the old catalog, Street
Right.
Fighting Man.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of songs because you always want to do, move forward. I try to mix, and the tours that we did, I try to mix it together. So we do a combination of Infatuation and pick something from the old, Glad Bags or something, Handbags and Glad Bags, until we did the acoustic show, the what do you call it, Seated, Unplugged and Seated, the beautiful, amazing Unplugged in '93, and that we did everything that we wanted to do all together.
Wow.
And we had Ron Wood playing with us too, so it was fantastic.
Oh.
But working with him was funny because it's like he was all over the place, and he was an amazing performer. And it's again another thing with the raspy voice, being such a Paul Rogers fan. It was just a different style. Rod had a different style. John Waite had a different style. The vocabulary was a bit different, but they were great performers. But working with Rod was another comical. It's like a Mighty Python situation because it was just comical. Every day would be something going on, and if it's not with us, it's with the crew, because his English crew was the same for quite a lot of years.
Oh yeah.
And they were always up to something. They carried the two kids with them. They carried two kids with them. So if you were we were all in the same hotel. If you were hanging out, picking up stuff and hanging out, they would go to your place. They knew you were with some girl, or whatever. They would go to your room, unscrew the door, so when you put your key in, it would fall flat down. Not Holiday Inns, and that's what they would do. And then you walk into your room, and there would be shit missing. Your room would be cleared, and you couldn't see what was in it because they took the light bulbs out, and everything would be in the bathroom. It's like, how do they do that shit? Your suitcases hanging over the balcony on a rope or something. But it was,
Oh my God.
They were called the sex police, the crew. But they had a toolkit, and they would come in and dismantle shit. And
Jesus.
they were, I mean, besides us having a good time, they were great fun to be around.
That's so great. So Rod was fun. He wasn't full of himself. He was fun.
Rod was Rod. Because there's moments where he could be the prima donna, or he could be the comic, or he could be the real dark guy in the corner. Or, he was a lot of guys. To be honest with you, he was the most. You had to call early in the day. You had to call like for sound checks. I had to call the production guy or his assistant, and say, "How's she doing today?" And he would say, she's at half mast. She's half okay or something. Go, okay, we're ready for him, so we'd be prepared, You walk in, because if he's in a dark way, like some people are very moody, they look for weakness.
Wow.
They look for weakness. And
then they pounce.
Then they pounce. So they find out who it is. So, and they look, and you don't look them in the eye. If you look at them in the eye, you look at them strong. Go, yes, why's it going, mate? You try to get him out of his space, or goof on him.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw him at the ball with Jeff Beck right before the lockdown.
Right.
And it was like my dream to see them.
Yeah.
And Rod came out and did like an hour of Vegas. And I gotta say, it just was like, no, that's not. And then when Beck came out, he finally rock and rolled. But but Beck only did like 4 or 5 songs, and that was the end of it. And of him, and Rod was just so Vegas that night. It was like, no, that's
it's really, when it got to that point, it was great for his pockets, and it was great that he's gotten to a thing where He really loves to do. He used to croon when he was a kid with his parents or whatever. And it was a great, amazing, beautiful written songs by
Oh, the Great American Songbook and all that stuff that he does. Yeah,
absolutely
that's great. Yes.
gorgeous. A lot of people were doing it at the time. And
Mhm.
it really worked out great for him. But for us as an event, it's just, we didn't have that spit and fire anymore, you know? And
Yeah.
so it's just, it wasn't the same,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I kind of, you know, I wasn't ready to retire in my mind, you know.
Yeah.
From that, after that, I think I joined Bonamassa or something.
Yeah. So how did that happen? And he, when you did that, was he wasn't huge yet? Was he already huge?
No, not at all, not at all. Kevin Shirley came in to change the band,
Mhm.
and because he was just a kind of a blues artist, and Kevin Shirley, producer, wanted to put a different focus on that, what he was doing, and
Mhm.
not to be caught in a blues, playing blues clubs. There's nothing wrong with it, but you're going to end up staying there,
Right.
you know. So Jason Bonham, myself, Rick Mellick, keyboard player,
Mhm.
we were the band to try to take that album, move that album so it would focus him to a different place and to show his abilities better, differently. So it was basically having an English band, English American band with him, because what he wanted to do is bring British blues, because the British brought R&B and turned us on to all the blues people. We wanted to give it back to them, and that's
Mhm.
what Joe was doing. And it was a great bunch of guys to do that with. You know, Bogey Bowles was on drums at that point in time. Later on, Tal Bergman.
Mhm.
But it was nice. It was a great trick to bring it back to the British, and you had to really put it in their face, because they had Gary Moore. You know, they still had Jeff Beck, they had all these other bands, all the other great guitar players.
Mhm.
And Joe came in and just blasted, you know, the stuff that they gave to us, we're giving it back to them as a tribute. And that's why we end up staying much more lengthy times in Europe than we did in America. And eventually we started coming back into America after the Royal Albert Hall live at Royal Albert Hall. But Kevin had a concept, an idea, and it worked by putting different kinds of players, you know, inside of, again, the combination of us, of me and Jason together, which was fun, good fun. Yeah, just to take him away from doing the blues stuff, which, because you can get yourself caught up, you know, playing the same stuff in the same clubs, and you never get out of the clubs. He knew that he had to get out of the clubs or
Right.
play a bigger venue slowly but surely. So while that concept was going on, his management had another different concept by controlling the clubs or controlling the arenas or doing it themselves, promoting it themselves. The promoters at one point was saying, no, you come and play my club for 2 nights and I'll give you X amount of dollars, whatever. He goes, why do that when I can just go on the street, rent that venue and take all the money and have the money all to myself, 100%. Take the risk and, you know, gather everything, let them get the prize.
Uh-huh.
The risk is the insurance and all that kind of stuff, and that's what they did. Joe and his management were really dead on it. They were just on, and they had to trust the ability of the people, making people come, you know, putting asses on seats, which is the most important thing. But the band was incredible. You know, it just escalated, and Joe's ability was just stunning. And again, playing with him, it took me back to my kid days, listening to Free, listening to early, you know, John Mayall Blues Breakers and early Fleetwood Mac, all the Chicken Shack, or those early bands. Really great blues bands, electric blues bands, you know, like The Who and Jimi Hendrix and Cream and all that kind of stuff, which was a great, just a plethora of beautiful music at the time. And they were kids. They were 20 years old, those guys, 21 years old. They look a lot older with the sideburns and the beards.
I saw John Mayall at the Fillmore East also. Wow, he was great.
Did you see with Mick Taylor on guitar?
I don't remember. I was like 14.
Think about that, because I saw the Mayall at the Fillmore and Mick Taylor was on guitar and the amp was on the chair. He had his amp on a chair, which I've never seen before.
Wow. I have to think about that. I was like tripping when I was there that day. God, yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Around the corner was the Electric Circus. I used to trip at the Electric Circus.
Well, Jerry Brandt then opened the Spodiotes. He was my boss. Yeah.
I love Jerry. What a character. God bless him.
Jerry died of COVID.
Yeah, I know.
months
It's
ago,
sad
yeah.
because what a way to go, and what a history from early on from the 60s straight
Oh,
through.
God, yeah.
He was a guy with lots of ideas.
He
Always.
certainly was. He was a visionary. He was.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he was after one of a kind. One of the rare, those rare guys.
He
God
was.
bless
He
him.
was a character. So, all right. So how did the Bowie celebration, how did that
We had to stop.
happen?
Actually, it was put together by another crew. And we were just joining to being part of it. Adrian Ballou, a bunch of us started joining in together because it started getting some legs on it. So
What was the hope? What was the original concept? Like,
the
did you
original
guys,
concept,
did you envision that it would turn into this huge thing that it did?
well, we were hoping it would.
You hope,
But the
yeah,
original
sure.
concept came from someone else, which I had to apologize for blanking the name. They were at the Roxy early on, the guitar player. And
Uh-huh.
I have to apologize because I'm terrible with names anyway. It was basically his concept. And he would call up, say, hey, are you available to do this or whatever? And we would kind of come in and do these Bowie songs or whatever. And it's kind of escalated as it went on. And it got to a point where management and politics started rubbing against each other. People, there was news about you stole this, you stole that. This was my idea, this is my concept. And we needed a matriarch to head the path. And Mike Garson was the only matriarch. To really make it a Bowie alumni tour, it had to be, we had to have a matriarch as a leader, not anybody else who's never done a Bowie tour before or never been with Bowie before. And it was very important to save the brand.
Right.
And so at one point, both bands were together.
Who was the original front person, and how was it decided how that would happen?
That's probably Bernard could tell you that one, because there was a lot of different singing, a lot of different people. When it ended up splitting, we ended up doing Bernard and Corey,
Right,
and different singers and stuff like that. But
I saw Joe Sumner. Oh, he was
Joe Sumner,
amazing.
great job.
Amazing. Mhm.
Still, he just kind of grew up and just blossomed.
He's fabulous. Yeah.
Yeah, a lovely guy too. Lovely guy. His dad would come out every now and then to see a couple of his different shows.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. Exactly. God bless him. But yeah, no, it just the camp split,
Mhm.
and I had to make a decision which camp to go with. I had to go with the matriarch because it would protect the brand. And
Who was the other part? People that didn't play with Bowie originally?
well, the original music director, I have to really apologize, I can't remember his name at the moment. I'll
Okay.
remember when I'm not doing something.
Yeah.
He was the leader of that project, and it started rubbing against original players.
So he was not an original player.
No, he was not. Never been anything to do. But his concept, his idea, and his push made it happen.
I see.
He needs to have a lot of credit for that because he actually made it happen and helped to put it on the map.
Mhm.
He really did help to put it on the map,
Mhm.
and bless him for it. Then later on, I got a phone call to come back around, and we did both bands together in Europe, which was fantastic with Adrian Ballou, a combination of us. And then the Europeans wanted some more, so they anchored more with Mike Garson because it was just a much more solid situation.
Right.
So we went out with Mike Garson and whatever was available single wise, or guitar player Jerry Lennon, or Slick, or Mark Party, Charlie Sexton, the last time we were out. So it was a combination of all that stuff. But ended up being that at the end. A Bowie, and we had to change the name again because it was a Bowie Celebration. It was actually something very close to, which I can't think of it right now what it was before, because I'm so stuck on the new one, ABC. Yeah, but hopefully next year we'll be back out again.
Oh,
and
so
we
you're
can
not
finish
going
that.
out as a Bowie Celebration anymore? It's not that
We are
anymore.
ABC,
Oh,
yeah,
you
for
are.
sure. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. That'll be next year, and hopefully we can finish what we started with Ziggy and the Diamond Dogs tour. That we mixed both albums together, the whole
Wow.
complete album, all the.
Wow.
So it was fantastic to do that, and it's great playing the parts and remembering as a kid watching them do it. Dennis Davis and Carlos Alomar and Luther Vandross, and that's funny to just watch it, to look back at all that kind of stuff, and knowing I'm part of that family too, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Very blessed. Very, very
All
blessed.
right. So I'm looking at your list of people that you've played with, not people that you did like whole big tours with. So you've played with Mick and Keith. What
Yeah.
was the circumstance of that?
Keith and Mick separate. We were working
Okay.
on Jagger stuff, was working on his first album, She's the Boss. He took months to try to find a rhythm section. So we were the first rhythm section to work on She's the Boss. He's had like 10 rhythm sections before he finally recorded it. And by that time, I was already somewhere else. You know, the guys were the original band, we were already somewhere else. Carlos Alamo put the band together for Mick. And we were rehearsing, putting together new songs for the new album. That's the Mick story. With Keith was just jamming with Waddy Wattel and all those guys.
Oh God.
Yeah, the guys they always did the gig at the
Immediate family. Yep.
yeah. What's that club they always play at? With Waddy Wattel and Bernard and
The Mint.
the Mint. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Stevie Ray Vaughan.
That was with the Bowie thing, and then hanging and staying friends with them for over the years, and jamming in some popping up at some club in Minneapolis and start playing jamming together, and we stayed friends. We stayed in touch, and I would have always run into them at the Mayflower Hotel. they seem to be living there. That's where we all lived. We all lived at Mayflower Hotel.
Really?
New York, yeah, a lot of us. That was a hotel for all the bands. I guess they accepted all the crap that went down there. Those
The
sticky
broken furniture and the
sticky carpets.
How about Billy Joel?
Oh, they're just working on we were working on an album with Phil Ramone, working on a track, and in the session was Steve Winwood. So we were doing traffic songs, and he was trying to experiment on the song, which I can't think of it right now. It's on one of the Best Of albums. I was called in as a session from Phil Ramone, playing bass. And in the session was Winwood, which was fucking fantastic.
Do you get starstruck? I mean, have you ever gotten starstruck? I mean, here you are meeting all your heroes.
Only twice. When I first met at Manny's, was Paul McCartney and his wife walking down the aisle at Manny's, and another one. It's godlike, you know. Like,
yeah.
What do you say? He looked down at us, because we're two Puerto Ricans. Me and my friend Ralphie going. And the gear, when you walk up the aisle, the gear, you're that close. So you could smell him, and it's like you can't believe it. And you walk away. He was there with Linda, walking with Linda, which was beautiful. That him and the first time meeting Jeff Beck.
What was that like?
Starstruck. I couldn't believe it. You know, I think the first time would have been, I think we were LaBelle, and Eddie Martinez and I were together. And Eddie says to him, "You're a sick fuck." And he goes, like that, you know, because they was talking about guitars or whatever, and we were big fans. He knew we were LaBelle, and Eddie Martinez goes, "You're a sick fuck," you know, like right out of his mouth. Like, okay, so, yeah, and he loved that, you know. Then I would meet him over the years, different places, different times. Only twice, yeah. Paul McCartney and Jeff Beck were the only two that was kind of like, wow, that
took your breath away.
Yeah, completely. I mean, just, you know, they're godlike to me, you know, at that point in time, especially Paul McCartney. Yeah. You know? And Beck, the way he plays, it's like, I don't know where he gets that shit from. I tell you a quick story. I saw him pick up a guitar at a music store. And the same guitar, a guy previous was playing it. It was completely out of tune, you know, and so the guy put it back. So Beck was walking, and we see him and looking at him, and he picks the same guitar. And I'm saying, shit, that's really out of tune, that guitar. He's going to have to tune it. He starts playing it, doesn't tune it. He starts playing it and using the wham bar and playing this beautiful melody and stuff. Then he puts it back and walks away. And my friend Roger, he goes, I said, that's not possible. So we go see where he went. So you grab the guitar and do it like an open note. It's out of tune. Go,
wow.
You know, it's like, wow, he's you know, that's godlike. Yeah.
Wow.
Whammy bar and playing whatever he's playing, and just putting it all in tune by using the whammy bar.
Wow.
And that was, I think that was in New York. And I was a kid. He was just coming over with in Boston with the Rough and Ready band with Bob Tench on vocals, Cozy Powell on drums.
I love that band.
Yeah, I did too. And we saw them. They were, and Todd Rundgren was opening up. I remember now in Boston.
Wow.
I was out with LaBelle, and this was 73 or 74, 73. But yeah, he like walked into the music store, and it's like, how do you do that? I never forgot that. I told him the same story. He started laughing. He
Wow.
said, I did have a whammy bar. I said, yeah, you had a whammy bar. I said, that's the trick. Just, putting everything in tune and coming up with these great melodies or whatever.
Jesus.
And you put it back and played it. He said, yeah, we played it. It was like completely out of tune. He said, he started laughing.
Wow.
Bless him.
How about Carly Simon? Does she really have stage fright? Did she have it when you played
She
with
did.
her?
No,
Did she?
in the studio, no, she didn't. Because we were
Okay,
doing
in the studio. Mhm.
I think it was Phil Ramone was producing. What's the hell's the name of the song? We did a track for her. Yeah, I can't remember the track. It was another Phil Ramone project because I did a lot of work with Phil Ramone.
Mm.
It was a session, and
Mhm.
she wasn't very shy, but her shyness, her quietness, it's just a certain beauty of her,
Mm.
because she just walked in and floated in, was wow, just gorgeous.
Yeah, she's a
Absolutely
gorgeous woman.
gorgeous talent. She had it all going on, but it was for a session, something to do for a film. I'm not sure if it ever came out. It was on an album somewhere. I have to search that around. Just reminded me.
How about Billy Joel?
Yeah, Billy Joel was great. That's when we did the stuff with In the Room with Steve Winwood.
Oh,
It's
right,
like-
right.
we
I
did
asked you
traffic
that already.
songs, Yeah.
And how about Herbie Hancock? Mm.
Oh yeah, just jamming. Yeah,
Mm.
he's classic.
Mm.
Classic. We were busy jamming in Japan for the earthquake victims in Kobe. There was a big festival with Oscar Brown. A bunch of us went over with Nickel Bag with Bernard and Stevie Salas, and we all got to play together and jam. And I knew him from the neighborhood here in Hollywood because we always used to go to the same places to hang out and play and jam.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were still doing that before COVID? There were still places to
All
go
that stuff,
and
yeah.
jam?
Well, no, this was the 80s and 90s. And
Yeah,
probably
that's what I
2000.
thought. Yeah, because it
2000.
doesn't exist anymore,
Everything
does
stopped.
it?
For me, everything stopped. 2019, everything stopped.
Mhm.
That last gig, whatever, March 12.
But prior to the pandemic, could you still just go out on any given night and jam somewhere?
No.
I mean,
In New York,
exist anymore?
I don't know. No, not at all.
No,
It
no.
was very rare, and there were really small places that you had to go to. There was a place in Beverly Hills you can go to. Remember what's his name? He used to have a great club, rock and roll club. The manager from Police.
Oh, Copeland.
Yes.
What was his club?
Yeah, it was a great club. It was in Beverly Hills. He had an awesome club.
I don't know.
And that's where we all used to get together and jam until
Mm.
closing time. They had to throw us out. And people would show up, yeah, that was a great club, man, Beverly Hills.
Mm.
And I just can't.
How about Carole King?
Another one. We did it. What we did for the 9/11 festival. That was for. I had to put a house band together. We got hired by the promoters of Philly for the stadium gig in Washington D.C. where Michael Jackson was headlining, and we had to. Al Green and Carole King needed a house band, so we were the house band for Al Green and for
Nice.
Carole King. So we played like 4 songs apiece each other. That was great, and it was in a big stadium, which Michael Jackson headlined. It was filmed too, for the 9/11 festival. And
That
we got
sounds
together.
familiar.
Yeah, it was a big youth festival in Washington D.C. At the stadium there.
How about Ian Hunter?
Yeah, I don't know how I get around.
You
hooker.
have played with every single person I love is on this list.
We did the track, the Bowie Celebration tribute for celebrating David's birthday, and he's just this January.
Oh, Ian had that great song about Bowie.
Yeah, so we redid the track.
Mm.
Yeah, it was great. That's a really great song. A great tribute song.
Yes,
and,
it is.
And he's easy too. He was, no fuss, and I was a big Martha Hooper fan too from back in the
Me
day.
too. Yeah.
Mick Ralphs and
Hell yeah. And you got to play with Carlos Santana. What was that about?
yeah, that was 1982, I think. 1982 with Nona Hendrix. We were on a big bill at what's that tennis place in Queens, Forest Hills?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was a big festival, a charity with Meatloaf, Carl Santana, Todd Rundgren, Joe Cocker,
Jesus.
somebody else, And
Wow.
we were half and half as the house band to play behind the people who didn't have a band. Nona Hendrix's band was the one who played behind to play with everybody. And there's a video for that too. There's a
Did you
video
get to
out
play
there.
with Cocker that day?
Yeah. Yeah. Feeling all right.
Oh my
With
God.
Santana, we did Evil Ways, and we did
Jesus.
something that was a single, an Argent song. Rod Argent. Remember the band Argent? On the zombie?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, one of the songs. Winning. A song called Winning.
Mhm.
And we did it with Santana, with Carlos. First time, and I'm something later on for a festival in Canada, playing together.
That has to be kind of dreamlike for
me, because it has
it's your roots.
Yeah. Oh, and I always thought he was Puerto Rican. I didn't know he was Mexican. We thought
I
he
didn't
was
know that
Puerto
either.
Rican. So a week before Woodstock, they
Mhm.
played Central Park with Jefferson Airplane. There was a festival a week before Woodstock, and they played their live. So I got to see them for the first time live and in person. And I just thought they were Puerto Ricans, And they were singing, a Tito Puente song. Oye, como va? It was the Tito Puente. So I thought they were Puerto Ricans, but they weren't.
Where was that festival in New York?
Yeah, it was a small festival. Like they used to have the band shell back in the day.
Right. It's Schaefer
Traffic,
Festival.
Lee
Yeah.
Michaels. Well,
Mhm.
Schaefer's different from the band shell.
Oh, right, where the
Festival.
band shell is. Okay, yeah.
Exactly. So I saw Traffic there, and Lee Michaels, and a couple other different bands. Rhinoceros.
I saw Johnny Winter there, actually.
There you go. Oh, Schaefer Festival.
Wow. And
Yeah.
so Dave Mason, what was that?
Doing an album, working on the session for his album. Yeah, a lot of the stuff is either one-offs, getting hired to do sessions, and being there and being responsible and doing the best I could do and moving forward.
Your list is unbelievable, Carl.
All the stuff you can find,
It is just the people that you've played with, everything that you've done, the long-term things you've done. Is there anybody that you still covet, that you dream, oh, I want to get behind that person one day? Or
Yeah, Peter Gabriel.
oh,
Yeah, and
nice.
there was a moment in time where I admired Tony Levin, because Peter Gabriel's first tour in 1977, September 77.
Was that like Sledgehammer time?
No, this is his first album.
Before, okay.
Yeah, this is after he left Genesis. This is his first album,
Mhm.
released in August, I guess, 77. September, Nona Hendrix, they got us to support for the whole month, 6 weeks. So we spent 6 weeks on the Gabriel tour with Tony Levin on bass, David Sanchez on keyboards. Great drummer, who I just did a session with not too long ago. That band, the first album,
Mhm.
and we got to spend time with them, and they were the nicest bunch of
Wow.
motherfuckers we've ever met.
Wow.
They would say, "Hey, you guys want to go have breakfast or want to go eat something?" We go, "Yeah, sure." We're like, "Okay, what are they gonna do to us? They're gonna kill us or something, take us out in the woods and do us." We had no idea, but they were the sweetest guys to work with, and I never
Aw.
forgot Tony Levin. They was just so gracious with us, and they were just, Eddie it was me and Eddie Martinez and Jose Rossi on percussion, and Eddie and I, we've been in so many different bands together, but that was an eye opener for us, of having the headline, giving us sound check, and asking us, "You want to go to dinner? I want to go hang out?" And Peter was just delicious as a person, just
Wow.
soft, and just checking things out and going looking around, and they're just writing these masterful pieces of music, going, wow, and watching them do it in Europe before they came to America, which is a different audience. So it was my first major tour of doing arenas all over Europe with Peter Gabriel for 6 weeks. And it's just, the audience was like a Grateful Dead audience. It was just, they were just all there for you, and it was just, I in my mind, I can still see Belgium. I still see France.
Wow.
I still see different places in my head.
Wow.
We did all those theaters in England, in UK, all the beautiful theaters, the Shepherd Bushes and all that kind of stuff back in the day. The Hammersmith, the place in Scotland. I mean, I still remember, I still got my books. I keep all my stuff with me. But that was a tour that I went, that's the kind of artist I want to work for, and I ended up being I was already a Genesis fan because of the prog stuff, but it's like, yeah, and he just got better and better and bigger, and just stunning. The writing ability and what came out of it was, you just never knew what you were going to get, what going to get from it. He's one of those, I like to one day sit and tackle, be a fly on the wall, just share ideas with him.
Wow.
And see what he, because I know for sure he'll make me interpret what I hear into a different avenue, like David would do. David was always very good with people making the mistakes. He keep the mistakes, and you learn from the mistakes.
Wow.
Yeah, he was very good with that kind of stuff. So he made an era or whatever. He would sing to that era, which made the song part of the song.
Wow.
Whatever, he sang to the mistake, and it was always very good because you would never go to that chord change automatically. You just because of theory or whatever. It was just untheorize your own head, and that's kind of education you just can't learn in books. You can learn it, but you'll never know what it's like when it's being thrown at you and you're swimming in it to get around it. And that kind of stuff I really miss pretty strongly over these years, because there's a lot of bands who are not the same as we grew up with, and a lot of them are passing away, leaving us, but they're leaving such a soundtrack of our minds. They're leaving such a great past for us and great history of stuff that we grew up with that brings tears to our eyes. That's that passionate stuff, and there's so many different bands and so many different angles that we had a great time coming up. There was so much great music.
Unbelievable.
It was just it's not.
And you have played on so much of the great music of our time. I mean,
but I never thought about it. Like I said, never.
You don't have the ego with it, but
yeah, exactly. It just if I fell into a place and I said, "Oh, this is great. I'm going to do this and whatever." And if it's wrong, somebody will tell me. And I was very cool to be misdirected or whatever, or turn it upside down. It was something educational. I was very down for it. Anywhere I can mix my Latin and R&B roots in a situation, and that's how it worked. That's how we did Let's Dance. That's how we did China Girl, all that kind of stuff. By mixing R&B and Latin roots in rock and straighten the tempo a little bit. You don't swing the bass as much as you would do in the funk band, and you have to learn that kind of stuff doing sessions. So there's a lot of great education that came out of all those schools. I call tribes.
Carmine, how much have you been playing in your home? How much do you play?
Not much, and I really miss. It's better when there's a drummer around. If I'm playing, I would prefer that. I write a lot of stuff, so I'm always writing stuff on keyboards or on bass, and I have a lot of different girls that I play with. Most days, most nights. But yeah, I alternate between flat wound strings or wound strings or 5-string. Depends on the job. Like Bonamassa was one job, Rod Stewart's one job, Bowie's one job, Tina Turner's another job, Billy Squire's a different job. So different things interpret different emotions and different ways of curving your playing abilities.
How many basses do you have?
I have 4 main girls, but I have what's left is about 12. I've given away a lot of stuff to charities and for schools, because it's stuff I don't really need. People give me gifts or whatever, and I let them know that I'm going to give it away. So I give a lot of stuff to charity and schools.
That's lovely.
But they need it. The kids need it. They need like real, after they learn a little bit on the shitty shit like I did, play something on a good guitar, and they can really hear themselves progressing better.
So what are your 4 main girls?
I'll show you a picture of them. I'll
Cool.
show you 3.
Okay.
I can show you 3. That's 1.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. That's an Epiphone, flat wound.
Oh wait, now we don't see it. Okay. Oh,
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
That's
Yeah,
an Epiphone, the neck, the body. Behind that is a fretless, which is always a different way of playing a Canadian guitar. And then you have my exotic bass.
Gorgeous, yeah. Your
You see
signature.
all the pictures there. You see all
Yeah.
the different
Yeah.
pictures of them on, and the room is full of more shit. But
Wow.
I don't have any space. So my
Holy
mom's
shit.
my mom's place in Vegas. She has a lot of more stuff.
Oh my God. You can't win any more gold and platinum records because you have run out of room. Wow. Jesus.
There's a lot of stuff. I don't know if you can still read.
No, we can't read them.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But just you have that was the last gig in Israel. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, a couple of girls who give you keyboards, my toys.
Nice. And so you're based out in LA. You're not in New York. Yeah.
I miss home.
Yeah.
I do miss home. I wear my t-shirt, my Brooklyn t-shirt, clown. I miss home. I miss home a lot, especially these days where you're spending more time in silence, which I like.
Mhm.
And so you kind of, you get a little bit more of an introvert, you get kind of turned into yourself, inside of yourself.
Mhm.
And you start flashbacking a lot of things in your mind, because it's just, I'm not running so fast, so this stop was actually very good for me. So if I got a chance to get back out, fully again, which hopefully next year, I'll just be as grateful, even more so, to be able to still do what I do and still make people smile, make people happy, make them enjoy the tunes that we're doing, how we're giving it to them. I'm just very grateful that way. I really am. I love doing what I do.
And it shows in everything that you do.
Thank you,
Carmine, it's been so wonderful to, you've been over there and over here all throughout my life, but to actually sit down and really have a conversation has been a dream come true. I've been trying to get you for years.
I know. And the last time was because of Billy Gibbons, because they changed the date, and I had to go do a Guitar Legends with Warren Haynes and somebody else.
Damn that Billy Gibbons. He keeps getting in my way.
I know, he's awesome. And hopefully we have another one this hopefully in December. We'll film another show.
Fantastic. Well, I can't wait to see you back on stage. I've so enjoyed this. I'm so grateful.
I can't wait to get a hug, a proper hug.
Yes.
A
I
big
would love
hug.
that. When I came and saw you, you were so lovely and invited me, and then I couldn't find you guys backstage. Bernard, you guys. So I never got that hug, but I look forward to it the next time.
You'll get two.
Even better. Mwah. Thank you so much, Carmine.
Have a good one. Anytime.
Bye-bye.
Get Mike Garson on the show.
I would love to. You have to hook me up.
I'll do it right after this commercial. Cheers.
Thanks.